Thanks for joining for another Jenna Rae Cakes tutorial. Today I'm going to go over how I do a sugar flower arrangement in a vase. So first of all, what you need to make sure you have is all of your flowers done. You don't want to rush that part. So obviously you see here I have a ton of flowers going on. I have my sugar flower garden, as I call it. So whenever I make sugar flowers for a cake or an arrangement like this, I always make a lot extra because you always need more than you think. And then also it's good to have leftovers, so then you can arrange it into other arrangements later on, so you don't have to always be making just for orders. So I have all of those done. They're all colored, they're all dry, they're all done. So the secret for arranging your sugar flowers is to put fondant in your vase. You want to make sure you have a vase that's heavy. This one is brass, so it's heavy. It needs to support the weight of the flowers. And then you want to have like a good opening. If it's too big, that's going to take a ton of sugar flowers, so just keep that in mind. But this one's a smaller arrangement that I'm doing today, so this vase will be great. I'm actually not doing it today because, as I'll tell you right now, once you set your vase, you have to let it sit for 2 to 3 days depending on your environment. So I have everything ready here, but I'm not going to actually start inserting the flowers until my fondant is set. So I have to add fondant to my vase. So this is black. I like to use black just because it looks like soil. So if you have to look at it and you maybe will see some of it, it's black, so it kind of blends into the vase. It's good to use fondant that maybe is a bit old and you can't use it anymore for cakes. This is more fresh, but that's all I really had laying around because I don't really have extra fondant. But what you want to do is you're going to fill your vase and stuff it in as much as you can. So I have, and you don't need shortening to like knead it, you just throw it in there. So I'm just pressing it down. So you want to have a vase that you can at least get your hand in there. If the opening's too small, then you might need to use like a rolling pin or something just to, you need to make sure it's pressed down really well. So I'm going to continue adding my fondant. Like I said, black is the best color because it kind of replicates soil. Or obviously there'd be water in a vase, but it's dark, so if you do happen to see it through the flowers, it just kind of looks like the inside of the vase. If it was white or something, it'd be more noticeable, so you want to keep it black. Even if you want to do white fondant and then just throw some black on top of it, that works as well. So I'm going to fill it up to about here, just a little bit more. So even if your vase isn't that heavy, like this one's brass, so it's very heavy, but this fondant will obviously add some weight to your vase, so you don't have to worry too much about that. But if you're adding a ton of sugar flowers, like if you want to do a big arrangement, you need to make sure that it is well balanced because you don't want it tipping over once you spend all that time making those flowers. Okay, that should be good. So as you can see, it's filled up to about here with black fondant. So then I would put this aside for a couple days. So usually it takes 2 to 3 days for it to be set. So what you're looking for is you want it to be hard, but if you take a wire and insert it into your cake, into the fondant, you still have some resistance, so you can almost feel that it's almost fully dry, but not quite. If you let it dry fully, you won't be able to insert your wires in. But if you don't let it sit long enough, then the wires, especially for the heavier flowers, will bend through the fondant and kind of move around and it won't set properly. So it's kind of a guessing game. If it's humid where you are, it's going to take longer. If it's really dry like it is here, it's winter time, it'll probably take 2 days. So just keep an eye on it, keep pressing it. So if you're pressing it, it should be hard. You shouldn't be able to like get your finger in there, and it should form like a nice, so it should be like 90% set, and that's when you want to add all your flowers and then let it completely set, and then they're not going anywhere. Okay, so what I'm going to do now in the meantime while I wait for this to dry, obviously it's going to take a couple days like I said, but you can start making little arrangements with your sugar flowers. So this vase I'm doing is a custom vase for a client. She wants pinks and whites and yellows, and she loves Icelandic poppies. So I've made my version of Icelandic poppies here. So these are good to go. So they're on their own separate wires. I'm gonna leave them like this for now so I have more options when I'm actually building it, because you wanna have a couple little arrangements made to help your process go smoothly and quickly. But it's also good to give yourself options, so you want to kind of follow where the arrangement is taking you without having too much of a plan in mind. That's what I always do. I find it better that way. So I'm going to be using pinks and whites. So I have some other flowers here that I'll use, like this stem I'll probably use. I think it's perfect. So you can take, I have 18 gauge wires here and 22 gauge wires. So the 18 gauge is really strong, so that's what I'll use for like my bigger flowers and if I want something to really be high up above the vase. But I won't know that yet until I'm building the arrangement, so I'm going to hold off on that. But I can build these little kind of stems, and I'm going to use 22 gauge wires for those. And these ones you want to leave longer than you think you need because you can always trim them down when you're going to insert it into your cake. So I have my tape here. I have brown, light green, dark green, and white. So I'm going to use the light green, and then I'll probably use some petal dust to kind of make it look more realistic before I insert it into the cake. So I'm going to start by doing, let's see, which color leaves do I want to use? I think I want to use maybe these colors here. I'm going to pull this in here. And I'm going to grab a leaf as the top part of this arrangement. So I just kind of hold it like this. And then I take the stretched tape and just wrap it around like this. And then I'm gonna take a bulb here. So this is one of the bulbs for the Icelandic poppies. So it's just gonna kind of look like it's kind of sprouting. So I have that, like that so far. I'll go a bit further down, maybe add a bigger leaf. So like I said, there's no rhyme or reason for this. I kind of just like use what I want. So there we go. And then I'm gonna do a little, what else do we have? Oh, a little pink bulb, a little bud. So I'll add that. And then maybe a green one. So I have that going so far. And then when you're going to add into your cake, you can also bend it and manipulate it how you want to. I'm gonna leave it pretty straight for now just so I have that flexibility later on. You don't really wanna lock yourself into something unless you know it's gonna work with your arrangement. So here, I think I'm gonna add, maybe a blossom. So I'm just gonna add a blossom here. And then I think that'll be good for now. I'll leave that for now because I don't know really what else I'm gonna add to this. But that's a good start. So this will be really cute, like here's the vase, maybe like coming out some way, some kind of filler, maybe going down like this. It just gives me options. So I'll do a couple of these and then I'll do a couple of just leaf ones and then I'll probably leave the rest till when I'm actually arranging. Hi there, welcome back. We are on day 2 of this fondant drying. So it's been pretty much exactly 48 hours. I was hoping to wait until tomorrow when my daughter was napping, but I felt it right now and it feels just about ready, and you don't want to risk it and wait too long or else your fondant's going to completely set and then you'll be kind of out of luck. So you want to make sure you do it at the right time. You don't want to let it sit too long. If you do start a little bit too early, it's okay. You'll be able to tell as you're building your flowers too. If it's like everything's kind of moving, you can let it sit for a little bit and then continue to add. But you don't want to wait too long. So this is nice and hard. It's super hard on top, and I could feel just like a little bit of give, and that's what you're looking for. So my daughter's watching Peppa over here, so if you hear it, that's what that is. Hi. Okay, so I have my vase that's filled with the almost dry fondant. I have my floral tape ready to go. I have my wire cutters, very essential. If you have a pair of needle nose pliers, that's great too. It really helps you get in there and pull the arrangements down, but this is all I have here, so that's fine. And I have 18 gauge wires and 22 gauge wires to build more stems if I need to and add more height. So this arrangement I'm doing is it's a smaller arrangement, so it's not going to be huge. I'm not going to use too many flowers. I don't have quite an idea of how it's gonna look yet. I always kind of like follow the way of the flowers. So as I'm building it, I see what looks good and I go like that. And you don't really want to take out too many because then you're gonna have a ton of holes in your fondant and it's gonna get a little bit unstable. But just be very thoughtful when you're putting in flowers and kind of see where it's going and allow yourself to go there. What else? I think that is everything. I'm gonna change the angle so you can really see what I'm doing. And yeah, we will get started. Okay, so we have our vase here. So I'm going to start, I think I'm gonna start with this peach peony. Actually, no. So this is why it's good to have a lot of flowers, because then you can kind of feel for what you're looking for. So I'm gonna go with this smaller guy here, because you see how he's kind of flat here? So I can kind of rest it against the vase. So that's a good kind of base flower. So you insert it so you can really feel the resistance as you're pushing it down. I take my wire cutters or needle nose pliers if you have, and then just press it down. Okay, and this one has movable outer petals, which is perfect for this kind of arrangement. So you can really play around with it and make sure it's fitting in exactly kind of what you're envisioning. And keep in mind you're gonna have a lot of breakage as you do this as well. So don't be too put off if you're getting a lot of breakage. So that's good, a good start for this flower. I really want one of these to be like high up and over top of all the flowers kind of. So I'm gonna save that for a little bit later. And next up, I'm going to add maybe this pink rose. It's really pretty. And I kind of want it to sit a little high up too here. So I'm gonna push it down. I kind of want to go a little behind. So I like in my vases, like obviously there's gonna be a noticeable front, but I don't want the back to just look like all wires. I still want it to look pretty. So I'm gonna use this to kind of fill in a bit of space back there. I think that's good. Okay, so now you can see that's kind of my front, but then you see this kind of little space here. So I'm going to fill it in with a little stem. Maybe something like this would be pretty, kind of coming down. So this wire, I'm gonna make it a bit thicker to really press it in. So I'm gonna take my 22 gauge wire and cut it in half. And then I'm going to add my flower. So I'm gonna add it after the part where I bent it, just to give it more strength to kind of push through the fondant and hold on to it. So when you can, you wanna make sure your wires go really deep into your fondant because you want it to be really secure. So I'm kind of wanting it to look like this, coming out of the vase. So I'm going to measure it. So this is too long, so I'm going to cut it. Okay, and then push it down. Really use that push. And also kind of to bend. So when you're bending, you want to be careful. You obviously don't want to cut your wire that you just attached. I'll go on the back here and pull it down this way too. Okay, and now I'm going to go back and take it and bend it. Okay. So now that spot's filled and it's really cute, I think. Okay, I'm liking how this is turning out. So you could even keep it like that. I think that's really pretty. I'd probably put something else back here just to fill it out, and that'd be a really cute little vase. Definitely more on the affordable side, but I'm gonna keep adding a little bit more. So, like I said, I really want one of these poppies to be up. Ooh, that one's pretty. And I kind of like it from the side. So I want to see a bit of the center. So I think that might be a good angle. So for this one, I'm going to start that now because you can see we're running out of room at the top here. So I'm going to add this, but I'm going to add some height to it to really make sure I get the height that I want. I'm just going to do a full wire just to be sure because I really want it to have some height. So you can just hear the petals just rattling and shaking. So there's definitely breakage that happens. So don't be too bummed out. Just be as careful as you can because it is pretty heartbreaking. Something you've worked on for so long shatters. Okay, so where did I want? I think I liked it like this. So I'm gonna kind of bend it in the way that kind of shows the part I want. Okay, so obviously now I need to shorten it a little bit. This is pretty heavy, but it's looking good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is add one more wire here to strengthen it. If you have an idea and it's not quite working out, like don't be scared to change your mind and just kind of go with what looks good. Okay, push. Okay, that's such a mom thing to say. Push. Okay. Okay, cute. I'm liking how that looks. So that's kind of growing out of the back here. Okay, so then it's always good to take a step back and see kind of where you're at. I'm really liking how this is looking. I feel like I need a little bit more white in there. So I'm gonna maybe add, definitely need some more greenery. So I'm gonna add like this with the bulb. So this is the Icelandic peony bulb here. So that would be really pretty. Let's see where. So then I kind of just like hold things up to it, see where I like it, see if I like how it's looking. Ooh, I kind of like it coming like behind like this. So again, I'm gonna get a thicker wire. This already is going over the price point that this client chose, but whatever. I wanna make sure it looks beautiful, so I'm okay with that. About here. Okay, let's see how this is looking. Okay, perfect, okay. So I really like that. Okay, it's looking good. So now we need something kind of over here to kind of balance it out a little bit, I feel like. Another thing you can do that I'm gonna do right now is kind of anchor your flowers in. You can take a piece of thicker wire and bend it like this. And I'm just gonna insert it back here around these two longer stems just to give it a bit more support. Just like that. So it's just gonna hold it up a little bit more, which is just gonna help it dry properly where I want it to. Because once, like I said, once the fondant fully sets, you won't be able to move these flowers. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So now I'm gonna add something back here, and I think that might be good. So I might do another poppy to fill in this space back here. Just gonna quickly see how that would look. Okay, I do like that. I think that finishes it off nicely in terms of the bigger flowers. I'm gonna try to fish these petals in between each other. Okay, great. You can see that we have this like petal down here and this going down, it kind of balances each other out without being too even. We have our high flowers and we have our back nice and filled too, so it doesn't look ugly from the back. So now this is kind of where I have all my big flowers in and I'm happy with how they're looking. So I'm gonna go and just add little touches. So like I have this branch here that might look cool somewhere, so I kind of just hold it up and see. Not really loving it anywhere, so I'm not going to use that. So here's where you kind of just want to play around. You don't want to force anything. You don't want to have anything like in your mind that you need to have somewhere if it's not working. And there is such a thing as it being too much too. So you don't want to go overboard. I know it's really hard not to sometimes, but So this is the front. Okay, I think we're all good. So I will go back to a different view so you can see the finished product. Okay, here we have our finished arrangement. So you can see that I started with the bigger flowers on the bottom, and then I worked my way up, and then I filled in the little spots with little flowers or greening, whatever I thought I needed. So it is important, again, to go in with no clear direction in mind and kind of just build it and kind of go with what's working. Don't feel bad to change something or take something out if it's not looking right, if it's not what you envisioned. That's totally fine too. You want it to look perfect. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. I love the balance and just the flow. I love how it flows up and then goes down here to these leaves down here. I love things that are kind of reaching off. I think it's really pretty, and I really hope my client loves it too. So this is a great thing to do also for if you make a wedding cake with sugar flowers and the client wants to save their sugar flowers. This is a great option if they can save their flowers and bring them back to you, and you can build this for them. Yeah, it's really a timeless piece, and then it also lasts forever, so that's always a great thing. You want to keep it somewhere cool and dry and out of direct sunlight. You don't want the sunlight to fade the flowers, and you don't want them anywhere too humid because humidity can affect the sugar flowers. They can melt. It has to be extreme humidity, but it can happen. It happens here in Manitoba. So just keep it up away from children who will grab at it, or if it can get knocked over or something like that, because these are very fragile. But other than that, it's beautiful anywhere you want it in your house. It's a beautiful piece of art, and I hope you learned a lot. And if you do try to attempt this, please tag me. I'd love to see your photos, and let me know if you have any questions, as always, and I'll get to them when I can. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.